This week I learned great film adaptations of beloved source material. It's still possible. Hey, what's up, bookworms? Mike back with another weekly update. As guys, we have arrived into March, and I hope that means that you guys are going to see Dune Part 2 today, but that might come up a couple of times this episode. Fun week here on the channel. Had plenty of new things happen that I didn't really expect, and we're going to kind of talk about those as we go here. But let's begin like usual, guys. Let's talk about what am I reading. I just said to hell with it, guys, and I finished Blackwater. Here's the thing is, I know I put out my TBR video, said I'm going to be reading parts 4, 5, and 6 in this in March, and here we are March 1st, and I'm finished. It's one of those things where I did record a little bit of ahead because I knew I was going to be going to a dentist, which I'll talk about in a minute. So I recorded a little bit ahead, and I didn't know if I'd be able to talk after that operation. So I actually started to go ahead and start working on this, and I just couldn't stop, guys. The last 350 pages were just amazing. This is an incredible book. It's going to be a contender for Book of the Year, without a doubt. This is phenomenal. It is the perfect example of you don't have to have this great overlying plot for me if you have incredible characters, and his characters are just so good. The whole Kasky family was just so well developed. Like I said, the comparison I made was, imagine Jade's legacy with how she tried to go through the years of this family, but she didn't take her time to do it. Imagine that she did that. That's how I would feel about this. Michael McDowell goes from 1919 to 1969, so 50 years and multiple generations of this family. Everyone feels like they're developed just so well. Now, the overarching story, that's going to kind of depend on you. Like I said, it is kind of sold as a horror story, but to me, it's like this is a family drama with a couple of horrific things that happen, maybe some supernatural elements involved in it. And that doesn't take away. And I think that's one of those things where it feels like it's accessible to anyone. You don't have to like horror books to like this story, because that really is like 10%, if even that much, of this book. Everything else is just about this family going through the generations. So if you're into that, like Stephen King, the way he does like a small town setting and generations of a family and kind of the going through time, spending so many years and years with these one set of characters, and then also kind of that Southern Gothic that Robert McCammon does, I think you're just going to love this, because I really do feel like this is made for Stephen King and Robert McCammon fans. I think you're going to love it. So you like what the setting that Robert McCammon did when he did like Boy's Life, I think you're going to kind of get like that setting in here. So it's got numerous coming of age. It's got all kinds of family drama. It's got so many twists and turns that I wasn't expecting. But guys, this was just terrific. And I will, without a doubt, be reading more Michael McDowell, because this is just everything that I love in that kind of story. It really was just slice of life in the best way, in a small town setting. And like I said, going through the years with some characters, that's something I just cannot get enough of. This is a home run. This is an absolute home run. And I would recommend to anybody, like I said, even if you aren't into the horror genre, I think you will find something to like, especially if you are a King and or McCammon fan. So therefore, guys, I did neglect Threadlight just a bit. So that's my bad. I plan on finishing Stones of Light in February, and then do a Bonds of Chaos in March. So I think I'll just do what I did with several other series, like I did with The Expanse, like I did with Realm of the Eldlings. I'm just going to read books 2 and 3 kind of together-ish here. And that's what I'm going to be kind of working on this week. So I don't have a lot more to add compared to last week, because, guys, I've literally only probably read about 3 or 4 chapters past when I talked to you guys about it last week. So, again, I'm enjoying it. I think that the Mistborn allegations are wrong. Yes, guys, it has a magic system. That's it. That's the only thing I would say is Mistborn-ish, because they push and pull. But I will say that I think if you are a Sanderson Cosmere fan, you will like that book quite a bit. And I implore you to check it out like I'm going to this week. So next week I'll have more to say probably about that story. I was reading it along with Madison Goodyear. She got tired of waiting on me, and she finished it. She finished the whole thing. So I think that tells you guys it's pretty good. It's pretty good, and I'm going to continue that here sometime this week. What are we going into? What am I going to read? Well, guys, it is the final journey with Blackthorn here. I'm going to be getting into the final quarter of Shogun here. I did kind of start that, so I'm kind of, again, I'm working. Poor Threadlight's just like, for real? Another thing you're picking up at the same time? But this is I was fully prepared to do this at the end of the month because that would be kind of coinciding with the FX adaptation. But I watched the first 2 episodes of the FX adaptation. It got me way too hyped, and we'll talk about that when I get to TV movie talk. But yeah, that's my plans, is this and Threadlight this week. So it's probably one of those instances where I won't finish either, and I'll be talking about the same things next week. But I am very, very excited to do it because Shogun is just... Again, let's talk about Book of the Year contenders. Shogun and Blackwater are kind of running ahead of the pack right now. And I'm overwhelmed, guys. I've had a great start to read it. Besides the toll, I think I've liked everything that I've read so far this year. And that's just great. And, I've got some big old monsters that are coming up on the TBR too. What I mean by monsters, by some chonkers, some really thick books. So it's not like that's going to be stopping anytime soon. And I don't necessarily think that because it's a chonker, that means it's going to be, more worthwhile than something else. I just, I look at those as, well, if these books are this long and everybody raves about them, there must be something truly special. And more times than not, guys, that does turn out to be true. If by some miracle I blow through one of those, and Priest of Lies will be what's up next. I love Priest of Bones. But like I said, I wanted to make sure I'm wrapping up some series before I continue some others. So wrap up Shogun, wrap up Threadlight. Then I'll be starting on Priest of Lies, and then I'll probably just go ahead and blow through the rest of that series because, this 1 per month thing with multiple series, that really isn't a good formula for me, so I don't think that's the way I'm going to continue to do it. And that's why March kind of had a soft reset. And that gets into this week on the channel, the soft reset that I'm talking about. I did my March TBR, and I talked about, I scrapped a few things I had planned in March because I did realize I was doing that thing that I said I didn't want to do anymore, and that's starting 9 book ones. And so when you start multiple series, sometimes you don't finish any of them if you do it that way. At least that's my experience. So I said, okay, let's slow down. I'm going to finish Threadlight here. I'm gonna finish up Blackwater, which I did, and then I'll probably finish up the War for the Rose Throne before I start any more new series because I was slated to start a couple of new things in March, but I think that's for the better. Then I'll start working on that Larry Correa series again, I think. That's when I'll get back to the Saga of the Forgotten Warrior, which I did like. So, again, I mean, here we are, 5 years into this channel, and I'm still making TBR mistakes. And this is why I schedule, guys. It's so I can look at things and be like, what's working, what's not working. And that's what I talked about in that TBR, why I move things around the way that I did, And then I've got, a new Sun Eater book. So... it's a great time to be alive. Don't get me wrong. I'm loving all these things I'm reading. I gotta slow down with starting multiple series at a time because I got to get back to like I did when I read Warlord Chronicles all in a month, and then I read all of Nevernight in a month. I think that's the best formula to do some of these things in if it's books that, you can knock out 3 of them in a month. I think that's the way I want to get back to doing here very soon. That's why kind of the emphasis of the March TBR was. Did my Dune Part 2 spoiler-free review. I did get to see it 5 days early. It released today in the States, and I think pretty much worldwide it opens today. Got to see it on the 25th, which actually kind of coincided with my wife and I's our dating anniversary, not our wedding anniversary. It was 17 years since we started dating. We always just do something really light for that, but it's like anytime you have an opportunity to celebrate your anniversary twice, I guess you go for it. But it worked out. Got a nice dinner, and then we went and saw Dune Part 2 in IMAX, and it was awesome. And so I wanted to get a spoiler-free review out immediately because I know, everybody was just attacking. I got out of the movie and had about 1,200 direct messages on Instagram and Twitter asking me, is it good? Did you like it? Because your opinion on it's going to really sway me one way or the other, and I did like it. And I talked about why. It wasn't perfect as far as from a book reader, but I feel like if you are just enjoying these movies, I think this is going to be everything that people who felt a little bit like Part 1 might have been confusing or lacking in some regards, I feel like Part 2 is going to give you everything that you want. I actually do think he fixed some things that I've always kind of been about in the book. And yes, my favorite book of all time, guys, I can still criticize things about it because nothing is perfect. There's always things to look at with it. But there are some changes that did grind on me a little bit. And I don't hide those, but I still think it's an incredible achievement what Denny B was actually able to pull off with it. And kind of want to get my spoiler-free thoughts on that and encourage people to know that, yes, I did really, really like the book. And I haven't stopped listening to the soundtrack all week because it's just impressive. But I'm going to be seeing it again with my oldest son. With Part 1, he was like, I don't really understand everything, but I'm interested in watching it to understand why it's so important to you. Because he's like, I'm not going to lie to you, Dad. I'm not going to read that book. So I'm like, hopefully someday he will, but I never want to push it on him. And he watched part 1. He liked it, even though he's like, a lot of it's unclear. And I'm like, well, of course it is. It's unclear. If you read the first half of the book, it would be unclear, I think. Hell, some people read the book and it's still unclear. So I think he does want to go see part 2. So he was upset I wasn't taking him to this premiere, but I'm like, hey, look, it's your mom and I's anniversary, and yeah, she's a Bene Gesserit witch. She's going to influence me to take her before I take you. But I will be seeing it a second time with him here relatively soon. He wants to watch part 1 again before we go, and I think that's going to be a fun little father-son trip. I can't wait to do it. Like I said, I had a dentist appointment on Tuesday, so I recorded ahead, and that's why some things might have seemed kind of dated. But like I said, with the TBR, I recorded that, literally 5 days before I actually released it on the channel. Back when I was going back to school, and it was like the cheaper option. I don't know if you guys know this. Getting a root canal, it's not fun. It's not fun, but when you need the crown afterwards, and the crown is very expensive. At the time, I was like, no, let's just go ahead and just seal that up, and I'll get the crown later. Well, later has come, and it was time to get the crown, and it's less painful, obviously, than a root canal is, but still, it was like, it's up here. I want to make sure that I could talk to you guys. So I got the temporary in right now. I get the crown actually put in about 3 weeks, and that should be something. But that's why I recorded ahead, and that's why I put out a couple of shorter videos. My thoughts and process on Blackwater, which at the time was from last week's weekly update. But again, I'm doing things like that just to encourage people who like shorter form content to still check out the channel. And I guess you'd call it a book trailer. It was just my reading intro that I did for Why You Should Read Sun Eater by Christopher Rocchio. But the thing with that was, like, I spent a lot of time, guys, on those introductions, and a lot of times if people aren't interested in reading the book, they won't check out a 20-something minute video of it. But, they'll check out like a 2-minute maybe trailer. So it's like, it's just like, I want more people to see those. So I'm thinking about taking some of my older ones and just kind of releasing those as book trailers individually. Because like I said, there's some of those I've really spent a lot of time on. And if people haven't read those books, they don't watch those videos, they'll never see it. So I feel like they'd be willing to watch maybe a 2-minute, dramatic reading, I think. So again, the short form content is just, like I said, it's just reeling in some viewers who maybe aren't interested in watching 25-minute videos, or they're looking for a particular thought on one book that I will only cover in a weekly update or something I'm not doing an individual review for. So that's why I'm doing that. And that's why I'm also, guys, doing this One Piece discussion. You didn't know I did the One Piece discussion on my channel last week with Alan and Murphy and Philip. And so we are continuing that. What we're doing is we're going to do, for each section that we're covering, we'll be doing one on each other's channel. So we did one on Philip's channel last night. We'll be doing one on Murphy's channel next week, and then we'll be doing one on Alan's channel the week after that. So what we're doing is just kind of a particular amount of arcs, as Philip does read through them. And Philip's going to get caught up with me sooner rather than later. That I shall be resuming my One Piece reading with Skypiea and everything else involved with that. So, fun time. I'm still so grateful that they invited me to that conversation, because I did at first feel like, well, I'm crashing their party, because Philip and Murphy have been doing the manga reviews for a while, and Alan joined them on some things. So the fact that they let me join is fun. And I think it's a nice mix because, me and Philip are first-time readers of One Piece. Philip, obviously newer than I am. Murphy is kind of like the I guess the booktube gold standard for One Piece coverage. And then Alan hasn't actually read it. He's only watched the anime. So I feel like it's a good mix of everything involved there. And you don't have to worry too much about being spoiled on things, because we're only talking about those arcs that we are discussing in each conversation. So that's a great time. And again, I'm thankful that they invited me to join that. And all you guys who have continued to watch over there, it's been a lot of fun. How about some next week plans, guys? I got a couple of things on the docket here. I'll be wrapping up the month of February, naming my book of the month. I feel like if you've watched the channel, again, if you watch these weekly updates especially, I feel like it's not really hard for people to figure out what my book of the month is going to be. But sometimes, it's pretty close. And I do think that there is some thoughts and consideration here for February that we're going to get into. And we'll get into that as I wrap up everything that happened in February, what I read, most popular videos, things like that. Some fun stuff to get into. I like doing wrap-ups. I think they're a ton of fun. And can get out some of those things that maybe somebody missed it the first time. They can get access or just awareness that these things do exist still on the channel. If you miss them the first 24 hours, they're still there. I didn't get to my Lost in Adaptation on Percy Jackson this week. Like I said, the whole dental thing just kind of threw everything off, and then going and seeing Dune late on a work night was it just kind of throws your whole schedule off, I think. So I'll try to get to that sometime this week, as well as our spoiler talk. Christopher and I are going to be doing our Dune Part 2 spoiler talk either Sunday or Monday. Christopher's seeing it today, so I'm going to give him a couple days, or at least a day, to let it marinate a little bit, because I feel like if you do something like that immediately after you see it, you're going to have heightened reactions one way or the other. If you guys don't know, if you think I'm nitpicky, you guys have ever listened to Christopher's TV or movie opinions, I'm quite lenient comparatively, but I feel like we're going to have a ton to talk about, because I really like the adaptation. I'm not sure how Christopher's going to go, because like I said, he's way tougher on these things, and he is just as married to that book as I am. So could go one way or the other. I'm not really sure. I'll be anxious to see how he feels about some of those book changes, because I feel like I can accept them. But I feel like Christopher's more that no quarter type. So we'll see when we get that discussion. Like I said, it'll be Sunday or Monday night. We'll be doing that one live. But please, guys, see the movie this weekend. See it on an IMAX screen if you can. And that, guys, kind of leads me into TV and movie talk here. Obviously, yes, Dune Part 2 is out. Please go see it. I implore people to go see it on the biggest and loudest screen you can. The movie was shot in IMAX camera. It's meant to be seen in IMAX, and I don't think you'll regret it. The sound is incredible, and the visuals will just completely blow you away. It really is just an experience. And I've been telling everybody, please go see it in the theater, not just because, it's going to be a success. I don't have to beg people to go see it anymore just so we get more of them. It's going to be a success. Like I said, they've already doubled their pre-order tickets that they have for Part 1, so it's going to be successful. And it feels like the buzz for it is huge compared to Part 1. It's one of those things I feel like within 10 to 15 years, people are going to look back on it and say, man, I wish I had caught that on the big screen. So I really do hope people will go see that and get that experience, because I hate because I still regret that I didn't see Terminator 2 on the big screen. That's one of those things that I still look back and say that. Or I hear people say that all the time about Star Wars or Lord of the Rings. They wish they'd have seen it in the theater, So I really feel like this is that movie where you need to see it in the big screen to really appreciate what Denis V actually pulled off here. So do it. Go see it. Drop in the comments, guys. Let me know what you think about the movie. I think more are going to love it than do not. Shogun on FX, guys. I can't believe in the same week I got two wonderful adaptations of incredible books. I feel like this adaptation of Shogun, while it may seem a little rapid, because I'm looking at the end of episode 2 and I'm like, wow, I can't believe they got that far into the story already. But I don't know if it's 8 or 10 episodes. It's a limited series. It's not going to be a season 1, season 2 thing. It's just going to be this one. It's going to be like a 10-hour adaptation. It's incredible, guys. It is absolutely amazing. My wife, who has not read the book, knows nothing about it, completely enthralled with it. She was like, this is probably the best thing I've seen since season 2 or 3 of Game of Thrones. So she's really all into it, and it's just amazingly done. I mean, it's so beautiful. They dunked some serious money into it. I mean, big time budget for this show. It looks stunning. All the portrayals are amazing, but it's one of those shows, guys, where you can't scroll and watch. You've got to give it your undivided attention, unless you're completely fluent in Japanese, because the majority of it, 95% of the dialogue on the show is subtitled, because they are speaking in their native language. And it's not like the old miniseries where you're only getting things from Blackthorn's point of view. It doesn't matter if you can't understand the Japanese, because he don't. That was the kind of the aesthetic they were going for with that adaptation. With this one, you're getting it like the book. You're getting things from the Japanese character's point of view, as well as Blackthorn's point of view, and everything is translated on the bottom of the screen. You understand what's being said, but you got to pay attention. And it's just, there's so many characters, and it's so twisty and turny that I feel like you got to get back to, guys, to giving TV your undivided attention. So I know that's like a okay boomer thing with me. Like, they've asked, what's your toxic trait? And I was like, mine is complaining about people who can't watch TV without having a device in their hand. And my wife's one of those, but this is one of those where it's like, yeah, you absolutely have to give it your undivided attention, because you will completely miss anything and everything if you don't pay attention undivided to this show. It's really just so well done, but it's so intricate, it's so detail oriented, and I mean, I'm just completely blown away. Look, I knew Sanada was going to just kill it as Toranaga. That guy is amazing in anything that he's in. But the gentleman playing Blackthorn is really good, but the actor playing Yabushiki, he is phenomenal. I mean, I think this guy was just completely AI generated from the book. He is so good as Yabu. I cannot get it. Not Ingles. So he calls Blackthorn Ingles. Rodriguez, perfect. And that's Richard from Lost. The guy with the guy liner, as I used to call him. amazing performances all around. So this is just, I mean, I was expecting it to be good because I really believe they had people in charge of it that respected and adored the source material. But even I didn't expect it to be this good. So I've heard people be like, wait, this is a Disney Plus show? You guys got to get that out of your head right now. It is not a Disney product. This is FX, and FX is owned by Disney. So they have distribution rights in certain territories where it's on Hulu in the States. But some regions, you're going to be the distribution is going to be through Disney Plus. This is an R-rated show. There is nudity. There is bad language. There is extreme violence. This is very much an HBO-style show. So don't let it get in your mind, oh, this is a Disney production. Disney wishes they could have dialogue and scenery like this, guys. This is an amazing show that just feels incredible. And I hope more of you will pick it out because I think that this is just, it's event television like I haven't seen. Like right now, it's like this and House of the Dragon are like 1A, 1B for me on like what I would be most excited for the next episode. So if I'm going weekly with it, I'm usually a binger. So if I'm going weekly with it, you know it's pretty special. And I think you guys will love it if you check it out. Avatar Progress. I know some people are going to ask about that. Haven't watched a ton. Almost done with book 2. All I have left with book 2 is the 2-part season finale. But again, loving it. Tales of Ba Sing Se. It cut me deep. You know, I haven't gotten Iroh's complete backstory, but anytime it even hints at something with Iroh and his kid, it gets that dad shit in me. So I'm still absolutely loving it. I think I was talking to a good friend about it, and I told her that, you know, what I love about this is several times there'll be a show that you think is great. Like, for example, Breaking Bad, one of the greatest shows of all time. Hated Skylar. I didn't want Skylar on my screen at all. Like, I thought she was an awful character, and they kept her around too long. Several shows like that where it's a great, great show. The Sopranos. I love The Sopranos. I didn't need so much Vito. You know, that's how I feel about a lot of these shows. With Avatar, there is not a single character that I ever feel like get off my screen. Never. Every single character, secondary characters and primary characters, all are welcome. And I want to know more about all of them. So it's just a perfectly assembled cast, really. It's just such great writing, guys. And the character work on it is just, oh God, just so good. So I'm actually getting that part now where I'm getting kind of nervous about, oh my gosh, I've only got one season left. So, you know, curse you all for pushing me to watch this. And now I'm going to start having that little thing where I'm bitter about it ending. But very excited to continue with it. Because it is going to be one of, like, not just my favorite animated show. It's going to be one of my favorite shows ever. I'm confident in that. I don't think any fantasy fan is going to dislike the show, even if you're not into animation. I'm not huge into animation. This show is just, it's so well done. Haven't watched, and still only watched those first 2 episodes of the live action show. My kid was grounded, and he got his tablet back, and so now he wants all his tablet on all his free time. So we haven't watched it, but you know, I have continued to watch the original version, and excited to finish it up. But guys, that was my week. What's your week looking like? Are you going to see Dune Part 2? I hope that you will. So drop in the comments, guys. Let me know what you're watching, what you're reading, what you're listening to, what you are playing, and I will talk to you there.